What's going on, Hope listeners? Happy Independence Day. Thanks for sharing your holiday with us here on the Hook Podcast. It is still Thursday, right? So we are still doing a show, and looks like we're going to be doing a show every week all the way until
That's right.
probably the 2025 draft is what it seems like.
We're getting together for the grind now. Our time off is over. It's time for prepping. We're getting
Yes.
to the training camp and then preseason, and before you know it, it'll be midseason. We're talking about getting ready for the playoffs. So it's going to start going quickly, but man, are we ready for it? This is what we get excited for.
I feel like it's going to be a long ramp period with training camp. I mean, there's some great topics around training camp this year, a lot more than compared to other years. You know what I mean? So it does feel like it's going to be one of those years where, you're watching every catch in training camp with no pads, right? You're paying attention to who's making plays versus the corners, again, with no pads. And then, short preseason period, get through cuts, and then run into the season. So it'll come pretty quick, honestly.
Like I said, it flies by, and there's still a lot to learn about this team and competition for those leading up to the season, and then obviously week to week during the season. It just is, that's the grind, right? We know how to prep every. By then we'll be doing our 2 shows a week. We'll be making our picks for every team, and obviously covering all the Bills content still in season. So it's exciting, man. Leading up to that, I'm ready for it. I am done with the mundane part, and I want to bring back football. Let's get to it.
Yes.
That lull is depressing at times. You're like, okay, where's the football?
I guess I'll mow the lawn again on Sunday.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Exactly. At least you didn't say go to church, because I don't know about that. I got the football routine,
Yeah, that is the church. Did you watch the Hard Knocks this time of year? I mean, there's a lot of good videos that come out, Hard Knocks being one of them, but they're doing something different this year. They're kind of doing off-season versions. They came out with the off-season version on Max with the New York Giants, which is really interesting, just kind of inside the room, kind of like embedded with the Bills do, seeing what their thoughts are on the draft and kind of the big decisions around Saquon Barkley. So I watched one episode. I thought it was really good. And I think Hard Knocks is doing a division this year, AFC North. So instead of one team, they're doing 4 teams.
Right. Yeah, I knew it was all 4 teams this year, and that they were going to try something new. You compared this one, the Giants one, to the Embedded series, which I agree. The Bills have done a great job with that series, by the way. It's so much fun to watch. It's not like they release groundbreaking information or anything, but it's just cool to see the behind the scenes and what they do and leading up to the pick. And now the NFL's like, hey, that was a good idea. I'm sure we're not the only team that does that too, but Bills do it very well. And now the NFL is saying, hey, we can capitalize on that and give everybody a kind of behind the scenes look at what goes on. And I have not watched it yet, but I plan to, because it did look interesting at least.
Brian Daboll's there. I mean, Joe Shane from Buffalo.
Right. These are all Buffalo guys. Yeah. And my brothers are Giants fans, so they're invested. I want to watch it.
Yeah. My dad's a Giants fan.
Feedback. Yeah.
And then they talk about signing Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, which they did sign, but there's some conversations in the episode about them. Frank Gore's there, former Bill, right?
Yeah.
So, it was pretty good. You have to check it out. But yeah, Hard Knocks is doing 4 teams in season. So that's the AFC North. They're going to document the whole division throughout the season.
So who's the training camp one then? Are they not doing a training camp one, or how's that working this year? I guess not. I don't know. Because lately they've been doing a training camp one, like the original, behind the scenes training camp one, and then they do the in season with a different team, like Miami was last year.
Here we go. So we have the off season with the Giants going on now.
Okay,
August 6th, the Chicago Bears are doing training camp.
Oh, that's right too. It's the Bears.
Yep, the Bears.
Yeah. I did know that.
Interesting. But I mean, what I like about Hard Knocks, and they've really got away from it, is just like the unfiltered, raw conversations.
Right.
And like feelings are getting hurt. That's must-watch TV.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's really they've gotten away from that. It feels scripted now. You know what I mean?
And they don't show as much, right?
They show the positive stories. They don't really show the negatives anymore. and we know the NFL is cutthroat. So like watching that is
Right.
so fun. But I think by adding 4 teams, you'll probably be more selective in what they show you, right? Which is still fun. If they did this for the Bills, I mean, it'd be must-watch television, just to follow the Dolphins, follow the Jets. They're playing Buffalo. What's their thoughts on Josh Allen? I always like watching that piece of in-season Hard Knocks when they play Josh Allen. They talk about him and how you cover him. There's always a small clip on that, but it's very intriguing to me. So yeah, that's Hard Knocks, and we'll see how that goes. The offseason one was good. There's more episodes to come, but definitely a must watch. All right, so let's get into what we're going to do tonight. Is just go through some future bets. Just kind of get where we at. Where's Vegas at with the 24-25 season, and who are the favorites? Right, we can talk about our opinions all day. I feel like we pay attention, but like Vegas just has more access to what's on behind the scenes, or it's just a straight math equation. But you gotta think they have insiders feeding them information.
Oh yeah. They know a lot more than we do. That's for sure. That's why they're Vegas, right? They get it done. They wouldn't exist if they weren't winning, right? If they don't know how to set it, right? They're making money there. So yeah, they know what they're talking about usually. Yeah.
And there's a lot of fun things to bet here too.
Right. And you can bet it either way. So these are the fun bets because it's for or against, basically. You're saying, yeah, I think it's going to be one of these. For example, the one you just pulled up. I love this.
Yes.
Super Bowl division, right? Like this is great.
For audio listeners, it's Super Bowl 2025. Which team wins the Super Bowl? And then you bet per division. So what division does that team come out of, right? So for context, like AFC North's number 1. Well, they have 4 competitive teams, right? So odds are pretty good that, if you're going to pick one to win the Super Bowl, it might come from that division. What's also interesting about this is the AFC West is 3rd on the list behind the NFC West, but there's no really competitive teams in the AFC West except for the dynasty Kansas City Chiefs, right? So it's just that team alone is really what you're betting if you go AFC West, right? AFC East falls 4th. Again, Miami's been competitive. There's always hype around the Jets. Don't know why. We'll see. But yeah, they're 4th, which is kind of surprising that they're 4th to me.
I think the big take-home message from all of these that we're going to go through, we just talked about how Vegas knows what they're doing, right? Despite all the bull crap you hear in the offseason from the talking heads in the national media, despite who they love and who they hate, even the Bills team, right? Despite what you hear, good or bad or otherwise, Vegas is the needle, right? They're the evening out factor here to say, like, no, this is where it really stands. And the fact that the AFC West, which you just said only has one competitive team truly in this season, at least expected, which is Kansas City.
And look, I've put the Chargers in that category as well, but they've burned me the last 3 years.
Sure.
Does Jim Harbaugh turn it around? You want to say Super Bowl team year 1? It's stretched for me.
Yeah, right.
So it's just Kansas City.
You could say the Raiders have a good roster, but who's leading them at quarterback, and what does that mean for that team? Sure, there's going to be wins in that division, but playoff teams probably only one, right? And then you have the AFC East where you've got all the hype around the Jets and the Dolphins, and the Bills are the Bills, and we're sitting at that same number, the plus 500 for having the Super Bowl team. So despite all of that hype, it's even with what we just talked about, which tells you that Vegas is saying there's one team in the West, there's probably one team in the East that can really win it. And I can tell you what, Vegas doesn't probably think that is Miami or the Jets. So, yeah, I like that already with these numbers.
Yeah, we know they're high in San Francisco, right? And they're playing the odds with the AFC North, but it seems like the NFC West being 2nd, it's just San Francisco, right? Maybe the Rams. I mean, they can surprise people. Matt Stafford's certainly capable of getting back to the Super Bowl. But again, I mean, I think I'm not sure where the AFC East would fall versus the NFC West.
Well, maybe we get to find out this year, right? So that's a good thing. But I do think, again, these are you'll see the range is only from plus 425 to plus 800. which isn't a huge variety necessarily. Obviously, plus 800 is a much better bet. But I do agree that the NFC West is there because of San Francisco, and they don't have much else to work with. So, yeah,
Yeah.
but that belongs there. San Francisco should be in the NFC Championship game for anybody who's picking the NFC Championship game, in my mind, as of right now in July, right? So they've been a dominant team. They've been a consistent team. They fill holes, they get it done. So there's no reason to not believe that they're going to be right there. And that's why they're the second team on the list.
Mhm.
I think that makes sense to me.
How about some teams at the bottom here? The AFC South, the plus 800.
Yeah.
I feel like the NFC South should be in that place, and the AFC South should be second to last.
Right.
Just
Right.
because,
Agreed.
you know, CJ Stroud,
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't know what Anthony Richardson's going to be, but he's certainly one of those guys that could,
Yeah.
just take the NFL over. He's got all the physical traits, right? A lot to like there. He can throw and run. Could you see a Josh Allen type emergence there? I mean, it's not out of the question. I don't
Yeah,
think.
here's what I like about the AFC South bet. Number one, it's far and away the best bet on the board at plus 800. And there's multiple teams, like you just talked about, that could potentially make the playoffs. It's a real scenario where the AFC North beats the crap out of each other, and only one team in that division makes the playoffs because they beat the crap out of each other. And the AFC South ends up with two teams with 10 wins that make the playoffs. And now all of a sudden, you got, whoever it ends up being, the Jags and the Texans or the Colts or whichever teams emerge there, you get two chances versus the one in the AFC North. So the fact that those are that far apart would be why I would definitely, if you told me I had so many dollars, obviously I'm biased toward the AFC East because I think the Bills are going to win it. So I would bet that at plus 500. But my next bet might be the AFC South at plus 800. I'd say, okay, that's just a bet worth taking for the payoff alone. Now, remember what those pluses mean, right? If you bet $100 plus, you would win $800, right? So that's where that plus 800 means. And it's the opposite if it's minus, right? We'll talk about those later. But plus, if you bet $100, you will win $800, right? So
Right. So
that
you
to
have
me alone,
$900.
yeah, right. That alone is a pretty good bet just based on that. But it
Right.
also
So
tells you that Vegas is not buying in on the all-in hype for CJ Stroud, right?
right.
Otherwise, that would be
That's
higher,
interesting.
somewhere around where the AFC West is, right? It's a competitive
Right.
division, and they know that, CJ Stroud still has to prove it in that division against good competition and be consistent again in what they can do. They have a great roster, but Vegas isn't giving them anything. So I like that bet, but it does give us a sense of where
Right.
they're at.
But which is interesting because you look at the NFC North up there at plus 600, and I mean, okay, the Detroit Lions really showed everybody something last year, but is the gap between the Texans and the Lions that big? I mean, Jordan Love as well emerged, but again, kind of let's see it again. Like he was hot last year, got the playoffs, played well in the playoffs, right? But are we sure that he's going to be a competitive quarterback this year? I mean, I would bet he would be, but I mean, the gap between those two teams, the Packers and the Lions versus the Texans and let's say the Jaguars, it just seems like they're a lot closer than,
Yeah. Yeah.
what Vegas has
Agreed.
them.
Agreed. I mean, again, I think you are expecting maybe two playoff teams there if Green Bay makes it, right? So you're saying definitely Lions win the division. They're the favorites there. Green Bay makes it. Which one of those is likely to make the playoff Super Bowl? Well, obviously, in the NFC, the Lions were in it. They were right there. So there's no reason to not believe that they're the next ones right there. So if anything, to me, again, what that line is telling me alone is Lions have a chance. Green Bay, we don't believe in so much because they're knocked down a peg. The one that surprises me more is the NFC East, which is at plus 650, just below the NFC North. And there you do have the Eagles, who are a very good team, who basically
Yeah.
went all in this year.
Probably got better again.
Yeah,
Right.
again, yeah, very good team that went all in. Now, they had obviously faltered at the end of last season, but a lot to prove and a lot of good players on that team. I really like the Eagles team. And you also have Dallas, who just is a perennial contender that you expect again to make the playoffs and be right there. So in that division, it's tough to say. And that doesn't mean that the Giants can't sneak in there. Washington
Right.
probably not, but the Giants could sneak into the playoffs and give you a chance, So at plus 650, that's another one that I'm surprised is just quite that far under the other ones. It's not like they have to rank. You could still have the NFC East at 500 if the AFC East is at 500. It's not necessarily a gradual ranking system.
Mm-hmm. Right, that's a good point. They're both plus 500, so they're the same. So what bet you taking here?
Yeah, I think I told you. I mean, AFC East, because I'm biased toward the Bills, right? I just think for $100 of my money, I want to win $500 that the Bills are taking it.
Yeah.
However, I do like that AFC South bet just for the odds. You know, if I had $10,
Right, good one.
I'd be like, oh,
Long shot.
okay, my $10 can become $90 just like that if that team actually makes it. But yeah, I think, you know, these are fun bets to talk about. But gambling wise, am I putting my money on this? Yeah, the payout's probably better if I just bet straight up that I think the Bills are going to make the Super Bowl, right?
Okay.
Obviously, you're more
Yeah.
narrow, so the odds are going to be a little better there. So yeah, that's where
Yeah.
I think I'd be.
Yeah, and if you
But
did
this is
that
fun to
for
look
4
at.
or 5 seasons, you'd definitely lose some money. So that's why I would take the AFC West plus 500. Look, we've just seen the Chiefs. Nobody can beat them in the playoffs, period. Right? I mean, if you want to take the Cincinnati route, that's fine. But again, will Joe Burrow stay healthy? I mean, it's a tough division. Like you mentioned, good chance Cincinnati loses 2 important games in the division and they don't make the playoffs, right? The Chiefs, not a competitive division, not even close to what it was last year, I would say. We'll see what the Chargers end up doing, but it's a clear road to the playoffs for the Chiefs. And when they get there, nobody can beat them. Their roster's better than it was last year. I'd take the AFC West. All right, next one. All right, so now we're talking Super Bowl. What's the exact result in the Super Bowl? Number
Whoa.
1, plus 2,500. Chiefs beat the 49ers, so repeat. Number 2, the 49ers beat the Chiefs, plus 2,800.
Wow.
Ravens third here, plus 3,500 to beat the 49ers. Like I said, they're very high on the 49ers. The first 4 on this list are 49ers representing the NFC. And number 4 is the Bills, plus 4,000 to beat the 49ers. I think we know your favorite bet.
That is a good one. Yeah.
And now, yeah, actually the 49ers beating the Ravens, right? So now we have, that's the same as the Bills, plus 4,000. So again, top 5 include the 49ers. The next closest, it's Chiefs beat the Lions at plus 4,500.
And the rest,
seems like,
yeah,
and then it goes back to the 49ers. So,
Yeah.
I mean, who's your favorite in the
1,
NFC?
2,
Vegas
3,
loves
4.
the Niners.
9 out of the top 10 are 49ers. That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one that isn't is Chiefs beat Lions. Wow. 49ers beat Bills is also on there, which would be heartbreaking.
Devastating.
But yeah, I mean, of these, you know, I think that keeping the 49ers in play, if the Bills are in it, obviously the Bills 49ers matchup, that one says plus 4,000, although that's not going to be my season prediction. That's the Chris Berman right there, right? So that's cool to see because it's the Chris Berman pick. But if we're talking non-Bills bets here, it's interesting that the 49ers are in so many. So I would probably go against that and say, you know, the Eagles at the Chiefs,
like
which
the
is one I
Eagles
see
one,
is
yeah.
plus 65. But, you know, I don't want to see the Chiefs there either, but the Chiefs are in, you know, 10, 12 of the top 15, it looks like too. So I really would like to see something different. Like the Detroit Lions beat Kansas City. That's plus 7. I like that a lot for plus 7,000, you know, like
Right.
again, you're talking about you bet $100. If this is the exact matchup, the way it ends, you win that money. So it's really hard,
lucky.
really hard to predict that going into the season. So obviously these payouts are much, much higher for that reason. Is there a next one of the Bills winning? So we see the Bills beating the 49ers at plus 4,000, which is the 4th best odds, I guess you would say. Yeah, right.
And you have the 49ers beating the Bills at plus 6,000.
But then another one where the Bills win.
Bills beat Lions plus 7,500.
I that is like my dream scenario, right? If you could tell me I could make the Super Bowl, that would be what the fans want to see, right? That would sell NFL tickets right there. 2 franchises that have been miserable for the longest time, meeting in the playoffs, and only one can win, right? And only one can win. So I think that would be huge for the NFL, and I really would love and enjoy that matchup. So
yeah, that would be. I think America would love that one.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that would be it.
A couple more Bills ones down the list here. Bills beat Eagles plus 11,000. Bills beat Packers plus 11,000. Bills beat Cowboys plus 11,000.
Yeah, take your pick in the NFC down there, right? So yeah. I like those matchups. I think of those three, I would probably go Bills-Eagles as the one that I would bet, just because I think the Eagles are more likely than the Packers or the Cowboys to
Yeah,
make it that
Packers
far.
are intriguing. I like the Packers this year, but the Eagles are just too good. I
Yeah,
agree.
I really like the Eagles. Yeah.
So which one you taking?
I mean, probably the Bills-Eagles one would be the closest one that we've discussed. That, I mean, just at 11,000, wow, that's so tempting because I do like both of those teams, and I do think that's realistic. Um, I'd probably want to make my own matchup and do something crazy to see what the odds are, like Bills Falcons, right? Like that would be one that I'm sure is like much higher. It's probably 1,500, right? So something like that I would, again, you bet $10, you're winning a significant amount of money there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll take it. So that would be, of the ones we've talked about, Bills Eagles over Bills 49ers necessarily. But yeah, I love it. Fun.
I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Chiefs over Packers.
Ooh, that's a good
Again,
one
the
though.
Bills got to show me they can get over the hump before I get into
Sure,
them
but we're just
going to
talking
the
about
Super Bowl. I
odds and
understand,
money.
but it's like
Yeah,
it's emotional for me, right? Like they piss me off with
exactly.
this
With
stuff.
my money, of course, I'm going to bet the Bills. I'm not going to bet
Right,
against the
right.
Bills.
But why bet against the Chiefs? I have no reason to do that. And the thing with the Packers that's intriguing to me is if Jordan Love is this quarterback that we've saw flashes of, who's like the guy in Green Bay, you look around the NFC and you're like, is he the only superstar quarterback potentially? I mean, if he does take another step this year, I mean, I think he can get his team to the Super Bowl, right?
No, but okay.
I mean, I look around, but his arm talent's
Uh,
unreal. I
sure,
mean, really,
sure.
the question marks are more around the receiving core and the defense. But
The
like,
team, yeah.
he has the skill set to carry a team to the playoffs, right?
Well,
Got
I'd
to be
say
smarter with the football, things like that. But again, if he takes another step, he's all alone in the NFC as a superstar quarterback. You
I
want to put Jalen Hurts in there, that's fine. But I mean, as far as arm talent goes, I just think Jordan Love has more. But
fair
again,
enough.
tough
That's a fair
balanced team
statement.
with the Eagles. Like we're just talking quarterbacks here, but
You're talking raw talent versus potential.
sure.
Yeah,
But what else is there? I mean,
potential and
look around. You want to go with Dak? Dak can't win a playoff game,
well, now not with our confidence. Certainly, we haven't seen that.
right?
But
But I mean,
is
look
Dak the
around.
better quarterback?
It's
Yeah,
if we're
than
talking
Jordan
strictly
Love.
quarterback play and the quarterback taking the team to a level to get to a Super Bowl, I think Jordan Love's capable of that. The only other quarterback, that's there is Jalen Hurts, right?
No love for Brock Purdy, huh?
I mean, I like Brock Purdy, but we all know it's a
It's
system
not a
there,
Super
right?
Bowl. Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
right.
they're definitely a contender, but if it
Uh-huh.
comes down to score for score, I like Jordan Love. I don't think San Francisco's really built to go
I mean,
uh,
I
score
can't
for
argue
score like that.
against you that if he takes a step that there's some there, but I'm just not taking the Packers as my team right now, coming out of the NFC. But hey, that's where we differ. We got a
Yeah,
lot to discuss leading up to the season, I guess. But
right, right.
to
Yeah,
me,
this
he
is
still has a lot to prove. I mean, he's good. There's no
right.
question about it there.
And if it bombs and everyone starts giving me shit, I'll just say, well, that's why we don't talk about football in July,
But
right?
yeah, there you go.
All right, number 1 seed,
Ooh,
AFC number 1 seed. Chiefs are the favorite.
this
Ravens
is
second. Bengals third. Texans fourth. Well, actually tied with the Bills at plus 800 at
yeah.
fourth. Jets. Let's see. So we had 4, 5, 6. Jets ahead of Miami.
Yeah, interesting there, but these odds speak for themselves. The highest is Kansas City at plus 350, and the next team is plus 500, and it only escalates from there because again, they're speaking to the fact that Kansas City plays in a division where they're probably expected to chalk 6 wins, right? Like, I mean, maybe they'll lose a couple of those, but they're expected to win those games, and then they're probably favored against most of their other matchup opponents, even the tough ones like the Ravens and the Bills. So I do think Kansas City, we've talked about this already,
Mm-hmm.
they're most likely to get that 1 seed just because of the division they play in and the opponents they have, right? If the Bills win 12 games, they still might not be the 1 seed and they might need to win 13 to have a chance at it, right? Same with the Ravens and the Bengals. They just play in a very, very tough division.
Right.
Houston's division is more competitive this year, even though they're a better team. So nobody else, even the Bills, you could argue because of that. So nobody but the Chiefs has like the obvious they're the team and we're expecting them to be there, thread.
Right.
So especially when compared to last year. So, I mean, yeah, the odds are what they are. I would not put my money on anything but the Chiefs here, even with the Bills. Sure,
Right.
maybe I'd throw some money on the Bills as a chance, but likely not. So
Right.
I'm not
We're
expecting it to
talking
hit.
a game or two that swings this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I like the Bengals as a wild card here, but again, tough division, right? And for the Ravens to repeat like they did last year at 13 wins, I just don't see that.
Not against this, not a healthy
I
division.
do
I
like the
mean,
Bengals team if Joe Burrow's healthy, but I just again like you said about the AFC North, they're just going to beat each other up,
sure.
which really opens up a lot of opportunities for a team like Houston, right? Or even Buffalo. Like let's say Miami's not as good as they were, and the Jets, they jet. I mean, now the Bills are sitting in a position that we think Kansas City's in, right? It wouldn't take a lot, is my point. I mean, we have hype around the Jets. They're definitely a real defense. If Aaron Rodgers is 3/4 of what he was, they're going to be a good team. But really, questions: can he stay healthy? Can the coach keep the team together? And then Miami lost a ton of talent on defense. I have concerns about them. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were
Yeah,
last
they've
year.
got to figure it out for sure.
It's not crazy to go Bills here.
It's not. Yeah, at plus 800 too. Again, if I had a little money, I'd put it there. But my full expectation is that it's the Chiefs and everybody else is in second place. So my 2 seed would be the Bills.
All right, so you think Vegas got it right. All right, so NFC number 1 seed. They love the 49ers, man.
They really do. Yeah, Vegas is all over it for sure. Because at 300, this is a better bet. Even
Look at
300.
Bears. Look at the Bears down there.
Ooh, plus
Ahead of the
1200.
Rams. Jeez.
Yeah,
I don't know
wow.
about that. I would take the Rams over the
Woo,
Bears.
wow, that is bold, huh? Wow. Yeah, the
Number
Eagles
1
being
seed. This is
2.
tough.
I think the Eagles being 2 makes sense to me. But again, competitive division because at 4 is the Dallas Cowboys. We're not even talking about 4 separate divisions. 2 teams on the top 4 are in the same division. So that takes away from each other in that sense, right? Whereas the 49ers, are the next team before the Rams at plus 1,500. So, I mean, if I had to throw in a team that I thought could do it out of nowhere, it might be the Falcons at plus 750. So the Bills are at 800. Falcons at plus 750. If I think they're going to win the division and they've got an easier path with games, in terms of their schedule than the 49ers, again, it only takes that one game, random game where you won and they lost and boom,
Right.
that's the tiebreaker. I think Atlanta at plus 750 is intriguing. We skipped Detroit, who was plus 600 in there, but
Yep.
which again could be if they end up dominating their division. But of these bets in the top few here, I like Atlanta at plus 750, I think. And the Eagles at
Okay.
plus 550 makes sense.
Yeah.
But again, takes away because of that Dallas factor. If I could only pick one, it'd be that Atlanta bet.
Right. I like Philly. I mean, again, they've proven it the last 2-3 seasons that they can win 10 games in a row. And the big question on them is, can they hold it together to get to a Super Bowl, right? Seen them do it in the past, but they're just such a talented team. I think they got better. They added Saquon Barkley. They had another good draft. I like Philly. Can they hold the team together? And if they do, they'll get the 1 seed, right? To me, that seems the best bet on this list. Like Detroit too, but their style, right? The games are going to be close. They want to run the football. I wouldn't put my money on that.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be shocked if they get
right.
there.
It could happen, and it wouldn't surprise me, but no.
All right, here we go. Which one do you want to do? Let's skip to division winners.
Now we're talking. Because again, this tells you where they think teams stand.
Right. So the favorite to win the AFC East is the Buffalo Bills at plus 170. Jets are ahead of Miami. Jets plus 190. Dolphins plus 200. And the Patriots are plus 2,500. That's intriguing.
Fell right off the cliff. Yeah, I mean, they're probably one of the lowest in the AFC at plus 2,500 to win the division. And that is because the other 3 teams are expected to be pretty darn good by NFL standards. The fact that these 3 teams are only separated by plus 30 total, that's amazing in and of itself. But again, dust settles and who's the favorite in the AFC East?
Right.
The Buffalo Bills. So talk about the Dolphins and Jets all you want. But the Bills at plus 170 is what makes the most sense to me.
And what we're consistently seeing outside of San Francisco being the favorite is the Jets are ahead of Miami. which is basically just all hype, right?
Yeah,
It's all hype. There's nothing
exactly.
you can look at in football to say the Jets are going to be better than the Dolphins next year.
No, and I agree. I agree that, if I'm predicting division standings right now, it would be Bills, Miami, Jets, Patriots. So Jets are still in third place in my mind, and they'll be lucky to get there if they deal with more injuries this season,
Yeah.
right? If they're still injury prone, they'll be happy to be in third place and not fourth
Mhm.
place. Thanks, New England, for your
Yeah.
lack of showing up for this season, I
Right.
guess.
Right.
But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Miami's got a lot to prove because they did lose a lot of players, but they've shown they can win games on offense, right? All right, AFC South, Texans plus 105, Jaguars second with plus 275, Colts plus 310, Titans plus 1,000.
Man, the surprise here is that they seem to be giving it to the Texans at 105. That's basically, plus 105. That's it. If I bet 100, I'm only winning 205. That's not a lot versus the Jaguars at plus 275. I think they're right there in this conversation, and they, are expecting themselves to win the division. And I do think, of these four, I would take that bet plus 275. Although the Titans at plus 1,000 is intriguing too, because again, they have a chance. If you told me starting right now, hey, guess what happens in the 2025 season? The Titans win the AFC South. I'm not going to be shocked because they did a lot of things. Now, am I expecting that? No, but would I be dumbfounded by it? Absolutely not.
Right.
So
That seems a little high for me.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the Colts at 310, that's probably where they belong in my mind. I think they're more of a second place team in this division, and the first place is between the Texans and the Jaguars, and my money would be just because of the spread, the way the lines are, I would bet the Jaguars at plus 275.
Yeah, I like the bet. I mean, obviously the Texans feels like a slam dunk. But the Jaguars, they should be mad about last
Yeah,
year, right? The way it
that
ended,
absolutely.
they can make a run. Um, yeah, so that one I think. I mean, besides the Texans being plus 1,000, I mean, what's the
Titans,
difference between
yeah.
the Titans and the Colts? What's the difference here? Like when you look at the teams, I mean, we've seen more out of Will Levis than we have Anthony Richardson at this point,
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
right? They
Potential
had Tony
only.
Pollard. I know they lost Derrick Henry, and that's a huge blow, but Tony Pollard is capable back, right?
Mhm.
So I think the Titans they're
And they
too low on
added
the Titans.
their passing game. Yeah, I mean that's a good bet odds
All
wise.
right, and we're just looking at this as we bet today. If you've listened to our show before, you know that we get into our finalized division list 1 week before the
Yes.
season starts. So we'll be here for that. Just keep that in mind. Opinions change, folks. All right. AFC West, Kansas City's minus 230, Chargers plus 320, Raiders plus 900, Broncos plus 1,800.
Uh-huh. Well, this is one of the few where it's minus 230, right? For the Chiefs to win the division, meaning you have to bet $230 to win 100, right? So that's that's how the odds work there. And there's in my mind no other bet that I would take for this division than the Chiefs winning.
Yeah.
Even, the Chargers at 320, not a chance. The Raiders, again, to win the division, no. To win a game over the Chiefs, sure, I'd like that, but no, not even at 900 is
Broncos
that
interesting.
intriguing.
Very low on the
1,800,
Broncos.
but no, they don't have a quarterback, man. There's nothing they're doing
Yeah.
there.
Well, I mean, it's how much do you trust Sean Payton?
Yeah,
Right.
well, he's rebuilding
It's
there,
more
yeah.
like maybe he won't have a great quarterback, but like, can he manage the game, keep them close?
Sure.
Right. Seems a little low for me for the Broncos.
No chance, though.
Double your money on the betting the Broncos last versus the Raiders. I mean, it's not a slam dunk. Broncos
The
could
Raiders
finish
have a
first.
much better roster.
Yeah, I guess on defense, things like that, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But Sean Payton, he knows what he's doing. All right, NFC West, 49ers minus 195, Rams second plus 330, Seahawks third plus 700, and the Cardinals plus 1,300. Seahawks here. This is kind of interesting.
That is the one that stands out to me. I think that the Seahawks could be competitive in this division, and they usually are. But again, Vegas is saying it's the 49ers and nobody
They
else,
love the
basically.
Niners.
Yeah, they do. Minus 195. Again, you'd have to bet 195 to win 100. And so it seems like they're shoo-in to win that division. And the only other bet there that is intriguing is the Seahawks because I expect them to be at least competitive, thinking, oh, if an injury happens, God forbid, on the 49ers that sets them back a game and they're only a wild card team, then the Seahawks are the team that I would expect to take that division for those odds.
I think I'd put my money on the Rams, right?
But even at 330, it's not. Yeah, that's what I meant. The payout wise,
right.
700 versus 330. I would rather bet the Seahawks.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the Rams could do it, right?
Certainly.
Capable quarterback, capable head coach. I mean, Aaron Donald leaving, that sucks a lot for them. But I mean, Sean McVay's proven time and time again he can win with an under-talented roster. Right? So they could win the division, I think.
Sure.
All right. NFC North, Lions plus 150. Green Bay is second, plus 210. Bears plus 265. Wow. That's surprising how close they are to the Packers.
Yeah,
and then the Vikings plus 1,000.
This is a competitive division, but not this competitive. So I'm a little shocked that the Bears and the Packers are that close to the Lions. So that immediately eliminates them in my mind. I would not bet a single dollar on the Bears or the Packers just because of the payout, right? Like that is what? Like, no, for my money, that's not enough of the odds in my favor because the Lions should be expected to win that division. So at plus 150, that's the only bet I'm taking in this division. And even then I'm like, well, what's the point? It's not very good payout anyway.
Right. Unless you like the Vikings, think they can run the football, manage it with a rookie quarterback.
It's an uphill battle against these three teams, though.
It is.
You can like the Vikings to make the playoffs, not to win the division, so that's still an uphill battle.
But I mean, you look at all these bottom, like if you're going for the long shot, big money, Vikings might be a more talented team than the Cardinals, Broncos, Titans, Patriots.
Certainly, I'd give you that much, yeah.
More realistic. Yeah. All right, NFC South, Falcons minus 115, Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 300.
Wow.
Saints plus 340, Panthers plus 1,100.
Pardon me while I vomit as I say this, but the Tampa Bay Bucs at plus 300. This is the team that won the division last year.
Yeah,
that showed they could do it with that team, and again, was it a good team? No. Should they have been there? Absolutely not. But they did, so they should be given some more respect. Now Atlanta's again minus 115 for Atlanta. That's not a very good bet in my mind. Do I fully expect Atlanta to win the division? Yes, and that's going to be my pick come September. Unless something absolutely insane happens, I'm telling you now that's my pick for the playoffs, for this division winner. But the Bucs, I'm vomiting because everybody knows I'm not a fan of Baker Mayfield. So yeah, that is what it is. I guess I would not touch this division at all. And the Panthers only at 1,100 tells you how bad this division is. That one of the worst teams in football roster wise.
Yeah, they've been at the bottom of the list.
11.
Every other chart we've shown. Falcons are interesting because, I mean, look, talented, they should be the favorite. I think we agree there. Kirk Cousins gets injured. If he goes down again, whole different story.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Rookie quarterback, though. They drafted just in case.
Sure, but exactly that. The rookie quarterback are going to win the division.
Well, they have good defense, good run ball. I still think so, yeah.
I think I would swing to the Bucs if that happened.
Could very easily, yeah.
Okay, moving on. AFC North, interesting one, right? The Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers. Ravens are plus 130, Bengals plus 145, Browns plus 600, Steelers plus 850. And we do know 3 of these teams made the playoffs last year, Steelers being one of them. So, the gap between the Bengals and the Steelers seems a little high for me, but I guess they're basing that on Joe Burrow being back healthy.
Yes. To me, the team to bet here is the Cleveland Browns because it's totally realistic to think they could win the division. Although the Pittsburgh Steelers might have a chance at the playoffs, nobody is picking them really to win the division, I don't think. So the Browns at plus 600, that takes my money here. In fact, I have better odds for the Browns and Bengals than I would for the Ravens, right? So those would both get my money before the Ravens do. My pick right now is probably the Bengals to win the division, but for the money, plus 600 for the betting odds, Cleveland.
Yeah. Cleveland is probably the best bet. But again, you got to believe in Deshaun Watson, right? Is Jameis Winston going to be able to carry this team? He's their backup, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's not a bad backup to have, though.
I mean, you saw Joe Flacco do it, so you would think those 2 guys would be better. Interesting. Yeah, that'll be a fun one to watch. Last one, NFC East. Eagles plus 100, Cowboys plus 150,
Wow.
Commanders plus 800, and they're really low on the Giants plus 1300.
So again, the fact that the Eagles and Cowboys are 100 and 150 respectively here, we talked about the AFC East being close with the top three, only 30 away, but to have the Eagles and the Cowboys only 50 away, again, speaks to where they see this division going. The fact that the Giants are in last place is bonkers to me. I would take that bet as well at plus 1300, because if they're healthy, they're not going to be the team they were last year. And 2 years ago, they were very competitive in the NFCs. So again, Philly to me is a dominant team in the NFC, and I think they're the favorites to win the division for a reason. But for the odds, the Giants aren't a bad bet here.
I agree. Philly's the slam dunk hit in this one. I like Dallas, but again, just I don't know. They come up short every year winning the division. They come up short every year getting in the playoffs and winning games, right? But actually, did Dallas win the division last year, right? Because Philly had that collapse. Anyways.
Yes. Yeah. Philly did terrible. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But I still think Philly should be the favorite as they are. And I would bet them. All right.
Not bad for divisions.
Not bad. Not bad. All right. Let's see here. A couple more. We have conference winner to make the playoffs and champion.
Let's go to
Let's do champion.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Because we know which teams we're talking about here for champions, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
make the playoffs is going to be very interesting. I think we can leave that one for last. But
yeah,
to Super Bowl odds here, the top teams are the top teams here. Chiefs, 49ers, we would expect, and then the next are the Ravens and the Lions, talking about the other teams that were in their respective championship games.
Seems like this is based on last year's
right.
results.
But right there, right behind them is the Bills at plus 1,200, the Bengals at plus 1,300, the Texans at plus 1,600. Wow, yeah, and the Eagles at plus 1,700. My two favorite bets on this list are the Bills at plus 1,200. And again, this tells you where, despite all the bull crap, the talk in the NFC or AFC about the Bills and whatever, the Bills are the third favorite in the AFC. The next team in the AFC East is the Jets at plus 2,000. And so that tells you what you need to know there. So I love that bet. And the Eagles at plus 1,700. We're high on the Eagles, it seems, today with these odds, and these bets the way they are. But I do like that one as well, plus 1,700 versus, the 49ers are only plus 600. So I'd take those two bets respectively. Give me the Bills, Eagles Super Bowl this way. And I take those two individual bets. And even if one of them wins, I'm in the money.
Yeah, makes sense. Like I said, Packers right there plus 1,900. Could see that happening. I think it's ranked right. You got the Eagles ahead, Lions and 49ers. I think that's right. Bills, I mean, they could sneak in. I mean, it's not impossible, couple concerns. I think the Browns are way too low, plus 4,000. I mean, they got the Bears, they got the Jets.
The Bears
right? All these teams are ahead of the Browns. I think that's way too low.
Vegas is high on the Bears. That's what, or higher than most.
They got the Chargers ahead of the Browns. I mean, I just don't agree with that at all. And then let's take a look at the bottom team, Carolina Panthers, plus 25,000.
Wow. Yeah, no chance. That's what that means. That is a prayer all the way up. I mean, the Giants at plus 10,000. That's pretty embarrassing.
It seems, I don't know what to think of the Giants, to be honest. They're putting everything in Daniel Jones, and it's like he's done nothing but come up short.
I believe in Daniel Jones, so I
like he's a good player, but continues.
Well, you have never given him targets, though. So you've never given him. Now they have a Malik Neighbors. This is his make or break season. You're really going to see what Daniel Jones is this year. We already know he can do it with his legs, right? So now he's going to have a legitimate receiver to throw to for the first time in his career. What's he going to do with that? I think he's going to be good. He's not going to be amazing where he's MVP candidate, but I think he's better than plus 1,000 odds in the Commanders, who are, he's tied with the Commanders and Cardinals.
Yeah.
To me, that's disrespectful to the Giants, and
well, they got to protect him, right? And the defense, they don't have to worry about Saquon Barkley anymore. It's all, let's just play coverages to Daniel Jones only. So there's a little more pressure in that way.
True.
So yeah, Giants are interesting. And that's what happens when you're a playoff team and then you fall off and then nobody knows what to think.
Good
What
one. I like
else?
this though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're
Nothing
good here.
notable at the
It's
top. We've already kind of covered most of these. Yeah, yeah.
yes. All right, so let's move on. What are
To
we
make
thinking?
the playoffs. This one is the most exciting in my mind. Yeah.
To make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do we want to go through all these? There's 32.
Well, obviously, but I mean, we can
I'll give you.
maybe
How about rapid fire? I'll just throw them at you.
there you
Atlanta
go.
Falcons
Yes,
minus
for me,
190.
obviously.
So you're taking the one minus 190. No
Sure,
would be
sure.
plus 150. Looks like they're at the top because the odds are right on the line here.
Drastic. Yeah, yeah. You're going plus minus here. So
Okay,
yeah.
Giants. Yes is plus 400. No minus 550.
I mean, for my money, I'm betting the yes, right? Because again, you bet
Sure.
$1, you win 40. That's pretty dang good. You bet 10, you win 400. Yes, would be my bet there just for the money's sake. But do I think they're going to make it? No, not right now.
This one's fun because Vegas has the Jets making the playoffs minus 160 versus no plus 135.
Not a very big money maker here. My bet would be no, but it's not. I'm not betting it with my money because it's just not that good of a payout.
Fair. Dallas, yes, minus 210, no, plus 170.
Yeah, again, likely would be on the yes side, but again, the money's too close for me to this one to excite me.
Texans, yes, minus 190, no, plus 150.
Yeah, I still think this is a good bet because even if they don't win the division, this isn't winning the division, it's just making the playoffs. I think it would be a shock at this point if Houston doesn't make the playoffs. So I'm on the yes side of that one.
Okay, the Carolina Panthers, drastic here. Yes, plus 550, no, minus 900.
Useless bet here. I'm not throwing away my money at thinking the Carolina is going to make the playoffs, but the no bet, there's no payout, right? So yeah.
How about the Patriots? No, minus 1,800. How much is it going to cost you?
You have
plus
to
900.
That means you have to bet $1,800 to win $100. No, thank you. Right. So no, that doesn't make any sense either. Not even for the yes flyer. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. So
all right, Bengals, a little more tough here to call. Yes, minus 260, no, plus 205.
I'm on the yes side of this one still too. The no, although intriguing, isn't good enough. You're talking about wanting an injury at that point in my mind.
Right. Kansas City,
Ha.
No, plus 425. They're definitely a yes, I would say.
Yeah, even at minus 600, for them not to be as drastic as Carolina was for the making the playoffs is crazy to me, right? Yes is only minus 600. Put your money on that because it's very unlikely that the Chiefs don't make the playoffs. Even if you have to bet 600 to win one, you go ahead and bet 6,000.
Yeah,
you're in 1,000. Yeah.
Yep. Ravens, yes, minus 260, no, plus 205.
This is one where I'm on the fence because that division is so competitive. I might lean the no just for the money, but the odds aren't quite high enough for me to be confident in that because they could get second place and be the wild card.
Right, or they win a couple divisional games and end up with a 1 seed like they did last year. Buffalo Bills, yes, minus 175, no, plus 140.
Put some respect on the Bills' name. Minus 175 for a reason, right?
Pretty close here.
We are the only team in the AFC East fully expected to be in the playoffs, minus 175, and that's for good reason, And in my mind, even if you don't like the Bills, the no is only plus 140. You're not betting that at all. So the yes is the way to go here.
Broncos, yes, plus 700, no, minus 1,100.
Yeah, that one again is too ugly to even throw my money at. I just don't believe in them to make it, and there's no payout if they don't.
Right, not worth it. 49ers, yes, minus 525, no, plus 350.
Yeah, that's another one where the no, although intriguing, you'd have to really find a reason to bet.
Okay. Lions, yes, minus 245, no, plus 195.
Again, because of their division, I think it's pretty safe to bet them as a yes. Minus 245 isn't a big payout where I'm like, oh, throw your money on it, but I'm pretty confident in yes there.
Yeah. This one's kind of fun. The Bears, yes, is minus 120, and no is plus 100.
The Vegas is really torn on Chicago. They do not know
I think
what
you
to
take
do with
the
this
no
team.
here.
Vegas,
right?
I'll
that
put
feels
it
like
this
easy
way.
money to me.
It does, but it's only plus 100, so it's not a big payout, right? You would expect that number to be
But
more
it's
in my mind.
it's
So
a free $100.
it tells you that not necessarily. To me, it tells you that Vegas is very concerned about the upside that Chicago has, that the ceiling of Chicago, not so much the floor, but the ceiling, right? Vegas thinks that their ceiling is very, very high. They could go all the way to the championship game and further, right? Because this talent could all of a sudden click all at once on this roster. Realistically, that's not probably going to happen. So you're right that the no is the better bet in my mind. But hey, Vegas is unsure. That's what this tells us. Vegas has a high ceiling on the Bears.
It's very interesting, honestly. Makes you think. And it really all comes down to Caleb Williams, how he plays, right? We know there's talent there.
Yeah.
Right. We know they can play good defense. Is the quarterback going to be ready? Are we going to see a CJ Stroud? Or are we going to see, a Marcus Mariota who flashes early and then kind of disappears? All right. Cardinals, next one. Yes, plus 300. No, minus 400.
The no isn't far enough down, but no is a much safer bet. Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree that should be a little lower. Steelers, yes, plus 185. No, minus 235.
Well, I'd be on the side of no.
We made it last year.
But the yes is, again, intriguing in terms of making the money back. So I'd probably avoid this one again just because of the division.
Right. But you did have a quarterback upgrade. A lot to like on defense for the Steelers. That one's interesting to me. All right. Browns, yes, plus 150. No, minus 185.
So this is another one where this is probably one of the better bets in my mind. I think Cleveland is a playoff team. So for them to be on the plus side, this is the first one where I'm like, hey, I put money on that. Why not? Cleveland's a playoff team in my mind. They could win the division. They could get second place. They could get third place and still end up in the playoffs. And to have them at that much money, I'd take that bet.
All right. Colts, yes, plus 140. No, minus 175.
This is right about where you would expect it to be. Too close either way to call. No, thank you.
Yeah, too many question marks there. The Packers, yes, minus 155. No, plus 125.
Again, probably too close to call. I don't think they're a shoe-in just based on the fact that the division could be competitive.
Yes,
the Lions could run away with it, and then they might not make the playoffs. So I'm not as confident in betting yes, although that's where obviously I do expect as of right now that the Green Bay Packers are a playoff team.
Yeah, I think so. And if this is the NFC South, I think this would be much higher for yes.
Definitely.
But yeah, the Lions are getting in the way there. That's what it seems like to me. All right, Tennessee Titans, yes, plus 425. No, minus 650.
Yeah, this is the first one again where I think just the number alone, the 425, tells me, hey, it could happen. Again, you could tell me they could win the division and I wouldn't be completely shocked. So to have that high of odds in comparison to the rest, I would put my $10, on the S side.
Okay, yeah, you never know. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, yes, plus 145. No, minus 185.
Yuck. The answer for me is no, but again, no benefit really to me either way.
Right.
I'm not slamming this bet for sure.
And that probably is the same for the Rams, plus 100 for yes, no, minus 120.
Way too close. Yep, no thanks.
Right.
Pass on that one as well.
Zero. Although I do think they are a playoff team. Jacksonville Jaguars, yes, plus 130. No, minus 155.
Again, I would expect so. The 130, I would bet that, right? Not as happy as I would be some of the other ones, but yes, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are a playoff team. So, yeah, give me that plus 130. If I'm in the plus side and I'm feeling good about it, that's a good thing.
Yeah, the Chargers and the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm not falling for it.
Yeah, right? There you go.
We had hype on them last year. It came up short again, so just can't do it. Philadelphia Eagles, yes, minus 230. No, plus 180.
Well, the no is kind of a little low, right? 180. What? No is 180. That no should be like 1,000. So to me, yes is the answer here. I would bet it, but it's not that much of a payout, really. So yes, but yeah, not one of my high yeses.
Looks like we got 5 left. All right, Saints plus 170. No, minus 210.
I'd be on the side of no. I think they have more to show. But still, that's
question marks around
not much
quarterback,
there,
right?
In terms of payout.
lots of question marks around the Saints. So, yeah, I wouldn't touch that one. Raiders, yes, plus 300. No, minus 400.
Wow. Yeah.
Too
Again,
much one side.
Yeah. This is. I don't think yes is high enough for me to bet yes, but the no is not intriguing at all. I don't expect them to make it, but no.
Yeah, and I was going to say maybe this Chargers one would be good, but yes is plus 110. No is minus 130. Again, no
That's
real benefit.
yeah, but I'd bet the no in that situation just because I'm more confident in no
Well,
based on the AFC itself. If the Chargers are in second place, I don't think they're going to get enough wins to be a wild card team. So I
and
actually
again,
like the
yeah,
no in this situation.
I'm not falling for the trap, but there is a lot to like about the Chargers. I mean, you have a top 5 or 6 quarterback, you have a
With
championship
no
head
receiver.
coach. Yeah, we'll see about the receiving, but I think they're going to run the football, and open it up for Justin Fields or not Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, and play good defense on offense or on defense, the defensive line in particular, and
There's
the
shifting
offensive line.
cultures there. That takes time for me. So
Yeah,
no.
yeah. All right, Vikings plus 300, no minus 400.
Yeah, again, this tells you that even Vegas is kind of unsure where the Vikings are going to end up, but I don't think they're a playoff team, but that is not intriguing at all at minus 400.
Let's go Commanders. Yes, plus 260. No is minus 340.
The other part I'd like to point out is that these, NFC teams are the ones that tend to be wavering so much. You're like, that's not a good enough bet because the NFC is so wide open. Even the Commanders are only plus 260 to make it. No thanks.
Yeah. The next one might be my favorite bet for yes. The Seattle Seahawks plus 180. No minus 220.
Yeah,
Look,
I mean, I definitely lean on the side of yes here. That's pretty exciting.
right. You like the receiving core. You like the run game. Added some defensive pieces. I mean, veteran quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a good one here. Yes, for Seattle. And the last one, Miami Dolphins. Yes, minus 155. No, plus 135.
Again, probably too close for me to put any actual money on it, but either way, you could convince me here, yes or no. So I'm not putting money on that one.
All right,
That's
let's do
pretty good.
one more. Passing touchdowns. Last one of the night. Most regular season passing touchdowns. Josh Allen is 6 on this list at plus 1,200. List is as follows: Pat Mahomes, Dak Prescott, C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. You got Brock Purdy ahead of Josh Allen. Come on now, kids. Come on.
Yeah. Now, when it comes
This
to
is
this
passing, though,
category,
no rushing.
exactly. You're talking about
Yeah.
passing touchdowns alone. To me, I looked at like Joe Burrow would be the bet that I have in these top few that you mentioned, right? Joe Burrow, I expect to be the one to pass the majority of the time. Mahomes is going to have a few rushing. We know Josh Allen likes to rush. Even Brock Purdy can get rushing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe Burrow is going to pass. That team's going to be pass. So I think that of these, that bet excites me the most, the 1,100 for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, because again, I mean, Joe Mixon now leaving, so probably will be a little more on Joe Burrow. But really, Tua is another one that's intriguing, right?
Yeah.
Just because of the
1,600.
receiving core alone.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill gets you 10 touchdowns as a quarterback, right? Probably more, but you're guaranteed 10. You know what I mean?
Certainly. I do think that Tua would be a good bet there at plus 1,600 as well. That's pretty good odds.
But it's funny how he's tied with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love and Jared Goff for that matter.
Interesting.
Because his receiving core is so much better than all
right,
these guys.
Right. You would think.
So
I
much
think
better.
that maybe the side of that is injury, right? The other coin of why are they so low? That's injury could limit you miss 2 games and all of a sudden your passing totals aren't quite as high even as the rest of the guys above you.
Right. I think where the Bills are, like this Josh Allen's interesting because the way they're building this thing, they're going to spread the ball around a lot more, and it feels like they're asking Josh to grow up a little bit and be a leader. He's shown he's extremely cerebral quarterback, right? So that'll be interesting. I don't think they're going to have a lot of splash plays or anything like that, but I mean they're going to move the ball effectively.
But so this is where
he might be in the running.
The homer takes, everybody's like, oh, you're a homer. Oh, you always say this, you always say that. No, I'm right. Okay, I'm realistic. And that's if you have a problem with it, you got to come to me with receipts because you don't have any. Because I've been on this podcast for 7 years saying shit right. Okay. And this is where I would say, Josh Allen, you could absolutely make a case that he will have more passing touchdowns this year. You could absolutely make a case that he could have the most passing touchdowns of his career this year. However, still in this category, which is most passing touchdowns in the league, I don't think he has good enough odds compared to a Joe Burrow or Tua or the rest of the guys on this
because
list.
he
So,
can't resist the urge to run.
well,
right?
yeah, and
He's such
even
an
then,
athlete. Why would you?
even
Why
then, the
wouldn't
Bills are
you?
going to have more rushing touchdowns, I think, than the Bengals, for example, right? Total,
Yeah.
whether it comes from Josh Allen or somebody else. And that means you're taking away some of those passing touchdowns. And
Yeah.
those teams like
Josh,
Tua, for example, I expect Miami's going to need to be in passing situations a lot more than Josh Allen is. So they're going to have more passing touchdowns for that reason, right?
yeah.
So,
And for those of you who were wondering, Josh Allen and Tua finished the same last year at 29 passing touchdowns. That's 5th and 6th. The league leader was Dak Prescott with 36, Jordan Love 2nd, Brock Purdy 3rd, Jared Goff 4th.
yeah.
Baker
So that's why
Mayfield
those
even
guys
ahead
are
of
there.
Pat Mahomes. And we know Pat
Right.
Mahomes is the favorite, but I mean, last year was defense and running, right?
Yeah, I
So,
actually hate that Patrick Mahomes is plus the lowest odds at plus 650. I don't think that's very. He still doesn't have a lot of receivers. He's got a lot of problems with receivers right now too. You know, sure they brought in some guys, but that's
sure.
to me.
We'll see how it pans out. We know
to
they're
me-
going to take shots deep. We know that.
To me,
but
Dak should be the favorite bet in this category, right? Because he led last year. He's got good receivers still. He's got that connection still. And then Joe Burrow again is where I would probably put my money.
and nobody's talking about Jordan Love again, but
Yeah,
if he takes even just a small step, he's in the conversation, right? He was so good late last year. He finished 2nd in the league in passing touchdowns last year with 32. I mean, he's absolutely in the running, and that's plus 1,600. If you're trying to make
Good
a buck,
odds.
it's worth checking out, right? Big thing with him is the receiving core. Got to pay attention to that, right?
Is there a total touchdowns one on here by rushing
passing,
yards,
just
receiving yards, passing yards? No. Most
we
receiving
could go
touchdowns.
receiving touchdowns. Let's see.
Well, that's a little.
Where's the first bill on this list? Most receiving touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, obviously number 1. That makes sense. The top guys, right? CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown. Where's the first bill?
Yeah, you're probably going to have to.
Let's see. So Diggs looks like it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 is Diggs.
And he's above any bill on the list.
And I feel like he'd be much higher if he was with the Bills still.
Yeah, obviously. So let's
keep going.
It's like playing the mountain cliffhanger game on
so
Price is Right.
Would I say he's 16? Yeah.
Right,
Diggs is 16, right? We'll use him as a marker. 18, 20.
I mean, I'd
Sam
imagine
Laporta.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Kincaid is eligible
let me ask
on
you
this
that.
list.
Who is the first guy on this list for the Bills?
I mean, probably in my mind it should be Kincaid. Maybe you could make an argument red zone that
I might go
Keon
Curtis
Coleman
Samuel.
if you wanted it to be.
Samuel's not a big touchdown guy, but
Samuel would probably be who I look for in terms of who I would actually bet on this list for the odds. But we still don't have a Bills receiver, and you're way down.
Right. So here we are, 16 with Diggs.
18, 20, 22, 24,
20. 22 would be Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Travis Kelce's here at what? See, 22, 24, 25.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice there at 26. Interesting. Still no Bills, right? So now
Xavier Worthy is above any Bill. This is not right here. This is funny to watch. Yeah, in total.
So I say 24, 26.
But again, not
30.
necessarily a bad thing because it means we're spreading the ball out, right? We could have 4 guys with 10 touchdowns. I'd be happy with that.
36, 38, Zay Flowers.
Now I see Curtis Samuel. Yeah.
Okay. 40, 42.
43. Curtis Samuel at plus 8,000. I mean, to me, that's a bet.
Interesting.
Hell yeah, I'll take that bet just because. What if he ends up being Josh Allen's favorite target and gets
here's Keon Coleman as well
touchdowns.
at plus 8,000.
So they're right there together. And those, I mean, I said that I thought maybe you could make an argument for Keon Coleman just based on his red zone activity.
52.
Surprised that
Keon Coleman's at 53.
And where is? But they're at the same.
Ladd McConkey's ahead of Keon Coleman. That's interesting.
That's really funny. And where is
Kincaid?
Kincaid is where I'm looking now.
What I say? He's 53, right? So there's Brian Thomas Jr. That's gonna be let's see, a 54, 55.
Khalil Shakir way down there. Wow.
Still
Another
no
long shot. Khalil Shakir is at plus
So
10,000.
56, 58, 60, 62, 64, 66, 68, 70. Christian McCaffrey is at
I know
70.
Christian McCaffrey is above Khalil Shakir. So that's
Yeah, that's
pretty
wild.
amazing, or is tied with, if you want to go by
Um,
the odds, plus 10,000.
I don't see
Dalton
Kincaid
Kincaid, there
still.
he is, very bottom corner now.
Okay, so we're at what I say 70, right?
60 or 70, yeah. 2,
Yeah,
4, 6,
70,
8,
2, 4,
80.
6, 8, 80,
86 maybe? Yeah, 88, yeah. No.
82, 84, 86, 88.
89. So
He's
he's
88.
89, yeah.
Well, he'd be, this side's
88,
actually.
yeah.
Whoa. Don't bet Kincaid. I don't want to bet that. Plus
but at
10,000.
plus 10,000, this whole group is plus 10,000 really. So who was the first one at plus 10,000? From Kincaid all the way up to looks
Wendell
like
Rock.
Xavier Legette.
Xavier Legette. Interesting.
And obviously, to me, Kincaid has a much better chance to do that than Xavier Legette. So interesting. Though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends what we're talking about here. Who's going to be the playmaker for the Bills? It's Curtis Samuel, in my opinion.
Yes.
I think Keon Coleman has an opportunity to get a lot of touchdowns because of his big body in the red zone. Kincaid's Josh Allen's check down, right? That's kind of his role, but he's going to get a lot of touches. So if we're betting receptions, Kincaid's your guy. Touchdowns, we'll see how it plays out.
Not surprising to me that the Bills are not high on this list just because they're expected to spread the ball out more. That's why you get rid of a guy like Diggs, right? Or you are now expected that everybody is going to be involved in this offense on every play. So whoever's on the field is getting opportunities, and that means nobody's going to rack it up high.
All right, before we log off, let's see where Von Miller is. Okay, TJ Watt's number 1 at plus 450 in sacks. Micah Parsons second. Myles Garrett, obviously. So they're plus 450. Let's see the gap here.
Leonard Floyd making the list there, top at plus 5,000.
Yeah, I mean, if it's really based on performance, Von should be a good bet this year. But most sacks, I wouldn't bet that anyway, but
he's not even on your list. That's crazy.
No list.
At plus 5,000 was the last one.
Yeah.
So.
They're on to us. Damn. They already thought of that.
I didn't see any other Bills on there either, actually. Part of that problem is they know the Bills rotate.
Well, and they have defensive tackles mixed in with, 3-4 edge players mixed in with 4-3.
Sure, but you wouldn't put Ed Oliver on the list then, or Rousseau.
He's going to be. If you got Carl Ganderson on there, you should have Ed Oliver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't see any.
I mean, if you have Chase Young on there, you should have Von Miller. You know what I mean?
Crazy. They do not, though.
No, if you have Leonard Floyd on there, you got to have.
That's why I was surprised to see his
somewhere.
name so high, right? I mean, he's playing on a team that is pretty dang good, but wild. No Rousseau.
The road ends here, yeah. All right, well, there goes that idea.
Anyway, lots of bets I really like. This is fun. I didn't look at too many of these before we went through them. I knew the Super Bowl odds one, but the picks, the division winners, that's always interesting.
And we'll touch in periodically, through the off season and through the summer.
You guys know I like my bets.
See how they update. Sure. Yeah, we'll see if Von gets added.
The preseason bets are always the ones that I tend to win the most money on. They pay out the most, right? I might bet Josh Allen win MVP every year. That doesn't happen. But when I bet the Dolphins over under, I'm like 4 for 4 on that one, right? Over under win total, things like that. So those are other ones that we could take a look at closer to the season, because I really, I'm telling you, those are the bets that I pay out the most on, that I win the most on every year. I'll lose a few. Doesn't bother me because I make my money easily back on the ones.
And those of you who are new to the show, during the season, we pick every game. Anthony gives his 6 best bets of the week. Pretty good. Had a pretty good track record with that.
Above 60% every year. So,
and as I mentioned earlier, we do a big show before the season, week before the season, just to pick division winners, Super Bowl picks, lock those in, hold our feet to the fire at the end of the year. So be sure to tune in for that. We'll be on every single Thursday on Built in Buffalo at 7:30 Eastern time. That's PM. And look forward to spending the whole summer with you, rolling into the season. And I think it's going to be a really fun season. So happy 4th of July. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Yes, happy 4th. Thanks for kicking it with us.